If you are starting or running a business and you want to attract more or higher quality leads, I'll share some strategies with you so that you can understand the benefits and the drawbacks of each method. And then I'll go into some lead generation specifics. So when you make advertisements, you'll know how to make quality advertisements so that you see a great return on investments, not just in the short term, but you also create a very scalable system for your business. So let's get into it. First of all, I want to get into the types of marketing that we have, because that's really going to determine which strategy you should use. So we have a lot of different types of marketing, but here are the main four different ones. We have word of mouth. So this is something that as you grow your business and as you get clients that are happy, they talk to other people, and it creates people that come to you because they've heard someone talk about you. Then we have cold outreach. So these are things like sending emails or calling up people or knocking doors even. But this is going out to people that you don't know at all. Then we have paid advertising. I think that speaks for itself. It's just like advertisement and you pay for the placement on wherever you put it. Then we have organic and brands, and more specifically, I want to call this like a brand thing. And this is like where you basically attract people because of the values that you stand for and because of the image that you have in the public. So these are the main four types of marketing. There is a lot of other intermediary types of marketing, but these are the main four. So what are really the benefits and the drawbacks of each method? So we're talking about lead quality here. So if we're talking about referrals, this is something that builds over time as you grow your business and as you get clients that are happy. So the investment here is time, right? The speed of result here is slow because you need a long time to get these referrals. First, you need to grow your business. Then people need to talk about you, and it's quite a slow way to get results. On the flip side, the trust you get of these clients are very, very high because they already know someone you've delivered good results for, and they talked positively about you. So this is probably the best thing about referrals, that the trust is very high. Now, something a bit less positive about referrals is that the lead quality is random. So you might have someone that talks about you to some friends, and they then come to you, but they might expect like a small job, or like they might expect a favor from you because they know someone. And the job quality, like, it can be very good, but it can also be very bad and draining sometimes. So it really depends. Like, this is not saying that the quality is bad, but it's definitely also not saying that the quality is good. The scalability of referrals is low to medium. So usually usually businesses don't grow very far on referrals alone. It's a very solid strategy to have, and it's a strategy that every business should grow. But if you're serious about growing your business, you have to look further than referrals. So to summarize, referrals, these are like the easiest clients you can get because the trust is very high and you don't have to put any effort into it aside from like just growing your business. And these clients are good to stay afloat, but they're not good to grow. The second strategy is cold outreach, and I call this cold calling right now, but it's really mostly cold outreach in general, and this also includes knocking doors. So the investment here really is mostly effort because it takes a lot of effort and skill to talk to these people and convert them, and it can be a very draining thing. The speed to result, though, it's pretty good. It's not like paid advertising, but you can get some pretty reasonably fast results with this. Definitely much faster than if you just were to do nothing or just rely on referrals. The lead trust of cold outreach, I put medium here because when they come to the sales meeting, usually the trust they have should be medium because you already should have a solid conversation with them on the outreach or on the nurture. But the reality of the situation is the actual calling and the actual outreach, the trust is super low because it's a random door you're knocking, it's a random person you're calling, it's a random person you're emailing. So on the initial outreach, the trust is very low, but once you had this nurture, once you had this conversation, the trust usually tends to be a medium level, which can result in a pretty good sale. The lead quality here, it really depends on the nurture, and it really depends on the skill of how you deal with the customer, and also, of course, the type of customer you're dealing with as well. But my point here is that the quality can be very bad, but it can also be quite good or even very good if your nurture is very good. So the scalability of cold outreach, it's medium because it's very one-to-one usually. You knock doors or you email someone personally or you cold call someone personally. Even if you grow a team, it's still a very personal approach. But on the flip side, you can get very high quality deals out of this if your skill and nurture is very good at this. So to summarize cold outreach, the sales on this is very difficult, but especially for B2B, this is a great strategy if you have the skills. And also if you want to get started, it's a great strategy because it can get reasonably fast results and reasonably good clients, and you don't need to pay any money, you just need the skill and the effort to do it, right? Next strategy is paid ads. So here the investment obviously is money. The speed of result is fast because you're paying money, everyone is seeing these advertisements, you're getting fast results with this. On the flip side, the trust you get from this is low because people know you're paying for this and they don't know the brand behind it, they're just seeing an advertisement. So the trust is low. People don't usually trust it when they first see it. However, the quality you can get from this depends on the nurture and on advertisement itself. The better the quality on the advertisement and of the nurture, the higher the quality of the work you get. And this can be, the negative side to this, it is that it takes skill to do this and it takes a good system to do this. And if you don't have this, then the leads are going to be very bad, all right? They're going to be very bad. They're going to want to drain the soul out of you, drain the money out of you, and you're going to make very bad deals. On the flip side, if you have a great system, the lead quality can be very good. It can be a lot better than referrals. Because referrals, the lead quality is random and you don't have the control. In paid ads, you do have the control, but it's also more difficult, which makes it very scalable. Paid ads, it's more scalable than cold outreach, and it's definitely more scalable than referrals. So to summarize paid ads, the sales, it's quite a difficult system to get working well. But this system of paid advertising, it's really the best trade-off between speed to results and scalability. So it's difficult, but it's really worth investing into if you want a supplementary solution. Now the final one, strategy and marketing as brands. And this is usually something that companies look into once they get a little bit bigger. Or you can start working on this already if you're smaller, but realize that this takes, like this is what I'm doing right now with my personal brand. This takes a lot of time and effort to get growing. So it's a very slow strategy, but on the flip side, the lead trust you get is high. It's not as high as referrals, but it's quite high because these people, they consume your content, they've seen your videos, they know you're an expert, and you no longer, like, if they decide to go to you, then you don't really need to force them into anything. Like, you don't really need to convince them that much anymore because they've already seen your expertise. The quality of the lead is also quite high with a brand because they know you, they trust you, they like you as an expert, and sometimes the quality of paid ads can be higher because you have more control with paid ads, but the quality of the leads you get with a brand are still very, very high. And let's not forget, the trust is a lot higher than paid ads as well, and it doesn't cost any money. So this is a great investment. It's very, very scalable. It's the most scalable solution. And this is really the best long-term investment. But on the flip side, the brand is very slow growth, and it's a lot of time and effort you need to put into it. So this is an overview of all the strategies. Now, let's take a look at paid ads, because paid ads is really the best supplementary solution for you to grow your business. You should really do two things. You should have a strategy for getting clients organically. And this usually means investing into several things, like invest into your brand for sure, but don't rely on this. And the same thing with referrals. Invest into referrals for sure, but don't rely on it. The same thing with like a website. It's somewhere in between referrals and brand. It's a good thing to have, but don't really rely on it, because it's not. Brand is very, very scalable, but it's a very slow thing. And paid ads, like, even if you have the brands working well, a lot of brands will still pay money to advertise, a lot of money to advertise, because it's just a great supplement to have. So what I want to stress here is work on your strategy for getting clients organically. But what I'm going to focus on here most of the time is paid advertisements, because that's what I do. And it's the best supplementary solution for your business, not just in the short term, but also in the long term. So let's look at a few different examples of paid advertising, the few options that you have. You can choose between Google, Facebook, or YouTube and other strategies. So obviously the main three are Google, Facebook, and YouTube. Now for Google, the funnel, the leads are in a certain position. They have a certain things that they're thinking about, and the leads from Google are the bottom of funnel. This means that they are the leads that are looking for your solution and they're ready to buy. So this comes with certain benefits, but it also comes with certain drawbacks. The benefits are that the sales are not going to be that difficult. It's going to be relatively easy to get those people in. But the drawback is that the lead quality is going to be average, because they're going to be looking at not just you on Google, but they're probably also comparing different solutions. And they're probably just looking for someone that can do it the best. So they're actively comparing, which is the drawback. So with Google, the summary is quick leads that are not too difficult to close. Now let's look at Facebook. And Facebook is really the best long-term solution if you want to have, especially if you're selling like a more higher priced product. These leads are in the middle of funnel. So this means that usually these people are not actively searching, but they already have the interest. So it's not like you're trying to educate them most of the time. You're just trying to speak about something relevant so that you can activate some desires into them that can then transfer into a sale. So this can be a quite difficult process, because this actually takes skill. This is where you need to have good advertisements and where you need to have a good nurture in place. So the sales, to get Facebook working, it can be a quite difficult thing, because if you don't have a good system, the lead quality is going to be really bad. But if you do have a good system, it can be a very scalable system, and it can give you very high quality leads. Now, there are also other solutions out there, like usually it's Google and Facebook are the two main ones. YouTube is also a big one. TikTok can be a big one. LinkedIn, like there are other solutions out there, but they're a little bit more niched usually. And they're usually also more comparable to Facebook than to Google. This means that usually there is an active advertisement and nurturing process in place. And this can be a very good alternative, but it really depends on the niche and the situation in specific. So let's dive into some more specifics of the lead generation and the paid advertising. So if you want to put advertisements, especially on Facebook, but to an extent also on Google, first of all, we're going to have to do a lot of market research, because we really need to understand what our audience is like, what are the people like, what are their desires, their fears, what does their day look like, how old are they, how are they involved in their work and things like that. Like all of that is really important. We do this research because we want to create a great message to those people. That's really the most important part. Well, I can say this almost without a doubt. Like, messaging is the most important part. The only thing I can say is that offer is also really important, especially in paid advertising, because offer is what are they really going to buy through your advertisements. So the offer is like what you are selling them in the advertisements, but the messaging is really how are you going to speak to your customers and how are you going to present what you are offering them. And so those two are like the most high level things within marketing, but especially in paid advertising. It's messaging and offer. So to create good messaging and to create a good offer, we need to do a lot of market research. This is something that you can do both before you start advertising, but it's also something you get a better idea of as you just grow your business and as you get feedback from customers, and especially as you contact the people and as you get feedback from the people that are coming from the paid advertisements. Then you can refine your messaging, or you can refine your offer. And this is really the most important part. It's going to drive your results. So very, very important. Okay. Why is this going to create our results? This is because people are a certain way in life. They have certain desires and fears. And if we can tailor to what people want, obviously that's going to get a better result than if we just put something random out there that doesn't really speak to anyone. So we want to really speak to the people and want to really create an offer that resonates with them. That's really what marketing is about. Now, how do we actually do that aside from just researching forever? The tangibles is copywriting. That's the most important tangible. And I want to split this up into like headline and an actual copy or a script. You could even say, depending on whether you're making a video or a static advertisements. Headline is going to be in most cases the most important part to focus on. This is something, it's either a hook or like a written headline. They used to do this in papers, but nowadays it's mostly online. So this is something that's really going to pull attention. Because of the state of society and the state of business and the way people are, attention is usually one of the most important assets nowadays in modern business. But even before, this was already a bit like that. So really we need to find a way that we can get a lot of attention in a relevant way for us. And that's usually going to do the most of the work. So advertisers and copywriters usually take a really long time, or they go to really great lengths to find great hooks and great headlines, because they know that most of the time this is going to get the bulk of the work done. Now, the actual copywriting part of it is when we think about the scripts and like the longer text that fits with the advertisement, or the video that fits with the advertisements. You shouldn't always make a really extensive copy, but if you're selling something higher priced or something that requires more trust, then I think it's quite essential to do that if you're dealing with like a high priced product. And this is like an art on itself. It's quite elaborate, and you really need to pay a lot of attention to the psychology of people. You need to have good writing skills, but it's not like writing a book. You're not trying to create a elaborate story. You're trying to really more play to the psychology and desires of people, and not in a manipulative way. I say this because some people do this and it can work, but obviously you shouldn't do that because it's not ethical. So what I want to say is the copywriting, focus on that. If you have a more extensive, higher priced offer, think about the psychology of the people a lot, but also make sure you're really writing something that speaks to people and that's verbalized in a very simple way so that people can understand what you're talking about and it speaks to them. They don't just have to understand it, they really truly have to speak to them. So that's the most important tangible copywriting, and the headline in most cases. Then the visual design is also something that can be very important. So obviously there's a trend out there on the internet with Barry Hott doing ugly ads, and this is something where people don't really pay attention to the quality of the image. And so this is something that can work. You don't always need a very pleasing image to look at, but you always need something that's very, it's going to activate some desires within people. So whether you do that through an ugly ad or through a very quality produced ad, it needs to activate some desires in people. And obviously if you're selling something that's higher priced, usually you want to do the more produced type of advertisements. But if you're selling for an e-commerce or sometimes other products, I guess you can get away with more ugly ads, and this is not putting that down at all. It's a great strategy, but it doesn't work for every offer, of course. So these are really the most important things in creating a good advertisement, and this is what's going to determine the amount of leads you get and the quality of the leads that you get, right? So very, very important. Now, if you're dealing with anything besides an e-commerce where you actually have to speak to people before they buy, we're also going to have to nurture the leads. But first of all, I forgot something, the lead capture. It's, people see your advertisement. Now you have a great advertisement, but you still need to capture them. You've already got their attention and their desire, but it's just a matter of them filling in some details in the form when you click on your Facebook advertisements, or they go to a landing page, which is like a separate smooth flow website where You can either put like a VSL in some cases, and you usually put like testimonials in a calendar there so that people can book in a meeting themselves. And all these leads eventually go to a CRM. So this is a customer relationship management system, and this is just where you can manage and follow your leads. So leads are captured through the advertisements, through the lead form, or they go through the advertisements to the landing page. And then you get either their details or they already book something in on the calendar. And then they go onto your CRM. So I'm just explaining how this works. It's also important if you have a landing page, make sure it looks good, make sure you have good copy on there, especially if you have a VSL. Make sure that the scripts makes a lot of sense, make sure the video makes a lot of sense, make sure it's designed well. The same thing with the lead form, although the lead form is a little bit more simple, but the quality of the questions you ask there can very much affect the quality of your leads as well. So there's some skill that goes into this as well. So once you've made the advertisements, once you've captured the leads, now we're going to have to nurture these leads. So in some cases, the leads will already have booked into the calendar. In most cases, now you're just going to have their contact details and they're going to wait for you to call them up. But even in the case where they booked an appointment on the calendar, you still want to confirm that with them. So sometimes you want to reach out to them over the phone, but at the very least, you want to confirm with them over WhatsApp or some kind of like a chatbot. Sometimes that can work. But you need to confirm with them if they book in. Now, on the other hand, if it's a normal lead and you just have their contact details, then the next part is a very important part of the advertisement follow-up. And this is where we're going to turn the marketing qualified lead in a sales qualified lead. But this means that we now have their contact details, but we're going to pre-sell them a little bit or like do some like warm-up process so that when they get to the closer or the sales rep, it's going to be easier for them and they're going to be ready to just do the process. So this is a process called appointment setting. This is where when you have the lead, you send them an SMS, you send them a WhatsApp, you send them emails, and the best way of all is you call them up on the phone. Now, this is something known as like an SDR, like a sales development representative, because they are usually the ones reaching out to these leads that are then passed over to the closer. This is something I do with my agency as well. So I do these appointment setting things. I call those leads up, especially if I'm dealing with higher quality offers, then I call them up. I put 15 minutes aside for them so that we can have a discovery call with them. I quickly introduce myself on behalf of the company. I talk to them, what do they want, and I go like a little bit into like the reason they're there, like their motivations and their frustrations, and I just try to pre-sell the thing a little bit, and then I check like if it's relevant for them and if it's interesting for them to go and actually have a full-on consultation. And this is where I book in an appointment here with the sales specialist or the technical advisor, and this is then where they eventually get sold or like where they buy, right? So this is quite an extensive and important process as well. This is definitely just as important as creating an advertisement. So it's a very important part of the marketing. And yeah, a lot of people who start to advertise like forget this because they think it's just about creating an advertisement, and then they complain about the quality of the leads, but they don't realize that first of all they need to create good advertisements, and then you still need to follow up with them and have like a good appointment setting process in place so that you can actually then go and then they will be ready to buy from you. So this is really how you can make your lead generation more effective, how you can get more leads for less money, and also how you can create higher quality leads. And this can really create a system for you that can get your results fast within 2 months, sometimes even within 1 month. And it's also a system that can scale quite well over the long term. As long as you actively work on this, it's something that can really help grow your business aside from like the normal organic things that you're doing. Check out my next video on marketing if you enjoyed this one and you want to learn more about the topic. Now, if you want the document that I shared with you here, it's going to be in the link in the description. So if you want, you can check that out. And it was a pleasure to speak to you guys. I'll see you next time. Have a great one. Bye-bye.